Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our virtual Dirshu Mishnah Berurah share. We are holding in Mishnah Berurah Chelik Hey. We're going to be doing today Daf Kuf Aleph Amud Aleph, and I hope Daf Kuf Aleph Amud Beis as well. And today, B'Yirtzeh Hashem, we're going to finish Hilchos Pesach, and we're going to embark on Hilchos Yom Tov. So we are holding near the end of Siman Taf Tzadik Dalid. We mentioned yesterday, the Ramah mentions over here the minig. I'll read it to you from the last several words on Kuf Amud Beis on the bottom line. The Ramah had said, "V'nai Hagen, there is a minig b'kama mekomos in many places. Le'achal ma'achal echalav b'yom rishon shel Shavuos, to eat milchigs on the first day of Shavuos." We already did Mishnah Berurah Ois Katan Yud Beis yesterday, and we said the Mishnah Berurah brought down one reason for this minig of eating milchigs on Shavuos is because they were makabel the Torah by Har Sinai, and of course when they were makabel the Torah, they were makabel all of the halachas of the Torah, including the halachas of not only basar b'chalav, but the halachas of shchita and of nikur and of malicha and the isser of dam. And therefore, to come down from Har Sinai, not down, but to come from Har Sinai with the Torah and now go eat a flesh of meal would have been nigh impossible. There was no meat that was ready to be eaten. If they wanted to eat meat, they had to go get animals, they had to shecht them, they had to do malicha, they had to do nikur, etc., etc. So they had to eat milchigs. That's one reason. Now the Ramah says over here on the top line of Kuf Aleph Amud Aleph, the Ramah says another reason for this minig. Says the Ramah, V'nira li hatam, the Ramah says it seems to him the reason for this minig is, Shehu k'mayashnei tavshilin shaloichim b'leil Pesach. We know that on the Ka'ara, by the Seder, we have two cooked dishes. We have the zraya, we have the shank bone, and we have the beitza. We put on a roasted egg on the ka'ara. So we have two cooked dishes on the ka'ara. And we discussed at length what's the reason for that. One is zecher lePesach, one is as a remembrance for the carbon Pesach, and the other one is v'zecher leChagiga. The other one is a zecher for the carbon Chagiga that we bring on Yom Tov. Therefore, it says the Ramah, Cain similarly, on Shavuos, we have a milchig meal, and then after we have the milchig suda, we continue with a fleishig suda. Now this is interesting because I think most people, when they discuss eating milchigs on Shavuos, they don't have this concept that they're going to eat milchigs and then fleishigs. They just make a beautiful milchig suda with cheese blintzes and fish and cheesecake. But they don't realize that the Ramah brings down over here that really you're supposed to have a milchig suda and then continue by eating fleishigs. And what's the reason for that? Continues the Ramah, if you're going to eat milchigs and then fleishigs, utzrichim lahavi imahem shtei lechem al hashulchan. Now you're going to have to bring two different chalas on the table. Because, like the Mishnah Berurah is going to say, there is a gzera d'Rabbanan that when you eat if you're eating milchigs, and now, after eating milchigs, you want to continue and you want to eat fleishigs, you can't use the same bread. We're not talking about bread that you had on a serving platter, but certainly bread that was already taken to be eaten. You have to take that bread off the table together with the milchigs if you now want to eat fleishigs. So, by starting the Suda with the milchigs and then continuing with fleishigs, you're going to have to start the Suda with a one lechem, and then when you switch over to fleishigs, you're going to have to bring a second lechem. And what's the point of that? Continues the Ramah. You're going to bring this al hashulchan on the Yom Tov table, shehu b'makayim hamizbeach. And we know that now that we don't have a Beis Hamikdash ba'avoneseinu harabim, our table is b'makayim hamizbeach. Our table is in the place of the mizbeach. Now you're bringing two different lechamim, two different breads on the table that's connected to mizbeach. V'yesh bazeh zikaron l'shtei halechem. This serves as a reminder to the shtei halechem shahayu makriven b'yom habikurim. We know that on Shavuos in the Beis Hamikdash we brought the carbon, the kivsei atzeres, which were the only shalmei tzibur. The only time that we brought a carbon shlamim as a carbon tzibur are the kivsei atzeres of Shavuos. And the kivsei atzeres were accompanied by the shtei halechem. So the same way on Pesach we make a zecher to the carbon Pesach and to the carbon Chagiga. Says the Ramah on Shavuos we want to make a zecher to the shtei halechem. How do we make a zecher to the shtei halechem? by starting the Suda with milchigs with one lechem, and then switching over to fleishiks, which requires us to bring a second lechem. Now we have a zecher to the shtei halechem. Says the Mishnah Berurah, we didn't do ice cut and yud gimel. The Ramah had said that the minig is to have milchigs b'yom rishon, on the first day of Shavuos. Says the Chavetz Chaim, gam neihagim b'ktsas mekaymis. There is also a minig in certain locales, lechol dvash v'cholav, to eat honey and milchigs, mipnei HaTorah shenimshalo ledvash v'cholav, because we find that the Torah Hagdosha is compared to honey and to milk. K'maisha kasav, like it says in Shir Hashirim, dvash v'cholav tachas l'shoneich. The Klal Yisrael has honey and milk beneath its tongue. That's the tongue that we use to speak and to learn divrei Torah, has dvash and cholav. Ois cotton yodalit, kemai hashnei tavshilin kein oichlim, that we're making a zecher to the shtei alechem. That's why we start with milchigs and continue with fleishiks. Says the Chavetz Chaim, ritzaynoi loymar, what the Rama means to say here is, kishem shebe Pesach leisen zecher lekarbon, the same way that on Pesach we have the zraya and the beitza as a zecher to the carbon Pesach and the carbon chagiga. Kain similarly on utzvichem lasos b'shvuas zecher l'shtei alechem shoyom mevin. So on Shavuos, it follows that we have to make a zecher to the kivsei atzeres with the shtei alechem. Valkein, and therefore, oichlem ma'achole cholav, we begin the Suda with milchigs, v'achakach ma'achol basar, and then we continue the Suda with fleishiks. Utzrichin lahavi imahim shnei lechamim, and that's going to require us to bring two breads. Why? Ta'asa lechol basar v'cholav milechem echad, because there is an issur d'Rabbanan against eating milchigs and fleishiks from the same lechem. V'yesh bazeh zikaron l'shtei alechem, and that will create a remembrance for the shtei alechem. Ois katan tezvav shtei alechem v'lachein, and therefore now the Chavetz Chaim says that he brings this down from the Magen Avram to take this even to the next level. V'lachein, therefore, nagu, there was a minig le'afos lechem echad im chema, that they actually baked one lechem with chema, with some kind of milk fat, with either cream or butter. So they actually made a milchika lechem. Now we know that making a milchika bread is something which is complicated in halacha. Really, we're not supposed to have milchika or fleishika bread because we're always afraid that that bread will end up getting eaten by the wrong suda. So the halacha is, if you want to make a milchika bread, it has to have some kind of siman muvak. It has to be readily recognizable as a milchika bread. Truth is that a lot of people aren't aware that this does not only refer to bread, it really refers to cakes and cookies as well. If you make them milchigs, there has to be some way of distinguishing, some kind of siman that lets us recognize that this is milchigs. And that's why if you make a cheesecake or you make some kind of cheese, my wife makes these cheese cupcakes, you put some of the cheese on top so that you could see that this is cheese, this is milchigs. So some people would have the minig that they would actually make a milchika bread. What does that accomplish? Now you're definitely going to have to switch your lechamim. Now, I guess what the Chavetz Chaim over here is alluding to is technically it is possible to use one lechem both for milchigs and fleishiks. How would you do that? You take a challah, you wash, you cut the challah, you eat a piece of challah, you take the rest of the challah, you leave it on a serving plate. And now it's already cut. Let's say you cut it up, slice it, and you put it on a separate serving plate while the milchigs is out on the table. You don't necessarily have to take that off the table when you start serving fleishiks. So technically, there are ways where you could start the Suda with milchigs and continue with fleishiks and still utilize the same lechem. We want you to have to utilize two lechamim. So if you make the first lechem a milchika lechem, now certainly you're going to have to break out a new lechem, a parava lechem, for the fleishika part of the meal. Continues the Chavetz Chaim by the Ois Yud Gimel for the Sharet Tzion. V'yizaher oz lahasik hataner yafe ben lechem lelechem. The Chavetz Chaim makes sure to warn us over here, and he brings this down again for the Magen Avram, that if you're going to bake a milchika lechem, and now we're talking about the good old days when people didn't have multiple ovens, so you had one tanur, and it was probably a wood-fired or a coal-fired tanur. So if you're going to bake a milchig lechem, the Chavetz Chaim reminds us, you're going to have to kasher the tanur between baking the milchig lechem and then baking the parav lechem. So if you do bake a milchig lechem, remember that now you need to burn out the tanur. You need to make some level of libun on the tanur before you're going to bake the next lechem. Otherwise, the next lechem is going to be a milchig lechem by virtue of the fact that the tanur is milchigs. Vegam tzarich marda chadasha. You also need to use a new marda. Marda is the shovel, I guess that's what I would call it, that they would use to put the bread, like we go to the pizza store and they have that the stick with the flat piece on the end to take the pizzas in and out. That's a marda. I believe in English it's called a peel. So if you're using a peel to take the bread in and out, if you're making a milchig bread, you need a new peel. Lost the place here. Deloikin mixas noshim, not like some women who make a mistake, shamahapchenoisa al tzad hasheni, who think that they could just take the marda and flip it over. So they think they could use one side of the marda for milchigs and then flip it over and use the underside of the marda for fleishiks. Says the Chavetz Chaim, no, you cannot do that. Because the blias, the milchig blias from the milchig bread, they penetrate throughout the marda. They don't only go on the surface of the marda, they penetrate the marda. So you need a marda chadasha. Eis katan tezayin, the Ramah said, al hashulchan, you're going to bring a new lechem onto the table. V'yazar likach mapa acheres. The Chavetz Chaim reminds us that if you're eating milchigs and then you want to switch over in the middle of your suda to fleishiks, he tells us, make sure you bring out a new tablecloth. Kisharoitz alechel basar, when you want to eat fleishiks. You're eating milchigs, especially if you're eating cheese, you're eating a milchig bread. What happens if you have crumbs from your milchig bread on the table? And now you're going to go take out a roast? You can't do that. So he tells us, make sure that you change the tablecloth. However, you do not have to be mafsik between the milchigs and the fleishiks by benching. As long as you're not eating what we colloquially call hard cheese. We know that there are cheeses that are fermented for 6 months. According to some, it's referring to wormy cheeses, but we usually refer to it as hard cheeses, are cheeses that are fermented for 6 months or longer. Those cheeses require you to actually wait 6 hours between milchigs and fleishiks. And certainly if you're eating that kind of cheese, you would have to be mafsik with birkas hamazon before you could switch over to fleishiks. If we're dealing with typical milchigs, you don't have to wait. You don't have to be mafsik with birkas hamazon. Rather, all you have to do is yikaneach piv yafeh. You have to clean out your mouth well. You would do that by eating, let's say, some parva bread or some parva crackers. V'yadiach, and also rinse out your mouth well by drinking wine or drinking water or drinking another beverage. K'de'isa b'yardei siman pei tes. And the Ramah said, nice cut Yud Zayin, that this is a zikaron l'shtei alechem. This serves as a remembrance to the shtei alechem that accompanied the kifsei atzeres. V'imkein, if what we're trying to do over here is create a remembrance for the shtei alechem, then the Chavetz Chaim says, v'imkein yiyu shel chitin. Then the two lechamim, the two breads that you use to create this remembrance, they should be made out of wheat. Dugmas shtei alechem, similar to the shtei alechem brought with the kifsei atzeres that had to be made out of chitin. Indeed, all of the menachos, all of the lechamim and matzos that were brought in the Beis Hamikdash were all made out of chitin, with the exception of a woman who was a saita. The minchas kenois was made out of sa'irim, and the reason the minchas kenois was made out of sa'irim is because the isha is being accused of doing a ma'aseh behema. And since she's being accused of doing a ma'aseh behema, she has to bring a karban mincha that's made of sa'irim. Barley is considered to be a meichel behema. Kasava Pri Megadim. The Pri Megadim writes, Yesh lizayir be'inyan ma'achale basa v'chalav b'chal ma'ashen isharon b'chal hashana hamavur b'yardei siman peiches u'peites. If you're going to eat milchigs and then fleishiks on Shavuos by your Yom Tov Suda, let's not forget that you have to be nizar between the milchigs and the fleishiks the same way you do year round. And the Pri Megadim warns us that the schar of this minig toiv of eating milchigs, it should not be yatzas charay be'efsedoi. We shouldn't chas v'chalila come to a nichshal, and we shouldn't come to be nichshal in the isurim of basa v'cholav because of this minig. Oid kasav b'nusach birkas HaTorah. Also, when it comes to the nusach of the bracha of the HaTorah on Shavuos, we say al HaTorah v'al ha'avodah, and we say it's Yom Chag HaShavuos hazeh, avalein mazkirin lema mikra kodesh, but we do not say mikra kodesh. Mazkirin nishamis, and on the second day of Shavuos we say Yizkar, v'imrim avarachamim b'yom sheni. Uv'chol makim shekarin kol habachar. The Chavetz Chaim tells us whenever we lay the kriyas HaTorah of kol habachar, so that would be on Shmini Atzeres and on Achron Shel Pesach and on the second day of Shavuos, Mazkirin Nishamis, we say Yizkar. Sheyesh by Matanas Yad, because in the Kriya of Kol HaBachar, we learn about the Matanas and the Matanas Aniyim, the tzedakah that we give, and therefore, since we mentioned that, the Noidrim tzedakah, that will inspire people to pledge money to tzedakah, Le'iloi, the Neshamais that they're mentioning in Yizkar. Kishachal Shavuos b'yom Shishi, when Shavuos falls out on Erev Shabbos, Shabbos ein oimrim prokim. We know that we have a minig that we start saying Pirkei Avos after Pesach, and we continue learning Pirkei Avos every Shabbos all the way until Rosh Hashanah. The original minig was to learn Pirkei Avos between Pesach and Shavuos and to stop at Shavuos. Therefore, the Chavetz Chaim tells us, if Shavuos falls out on Erev Shabbos, then on that Shabbos we no longer say Pirkei Avos. However, if Shavuos falls out on Sunday, so it begins on Motzei Shabbos, then we do learn Pirkei Avos Mincha on that Erev Shavuos. What can I say? Even though it's not official, there is no such official nusach, I will still say Hadran Allah Hilchos Pesach v'Hadra Chalon, Taitan Allah Hilchos Pesach v'Daita Chalon, Loi Nisnishnei Minach Hilchos Pesach v'Loi Tisnishnei Minan, Loi Ba'alma Hadein v'Loi Ba'alma Hu Da'asi. Thank you so much for learning Hilchos Pesach together with me. We should be zocheh to learn Hilchos Pesach together again. We should chazer Hilchos Pesach. Look what we've accomplished over here. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful accomplishment. So now we've learned part of Hilchos Shabbos together. We've learned the halachas of Haitzah and Eruvei Chatzeros together, and now we learned Hilchos Pesach together. What a beautiful thing. And now we're going to embark on Hilchos Yom Tov. Hilchos Yom Tov, Siman Taf Tzadikei. Eze melachos asurim b'Yom Tov. What malacha is asur on Yom Tov? Ubay dalet seifim, and here we have 4 seifim. Says the Mechaber Sif Aleph. Kol malacha ha'asura b'Shabbos asura b'Yom Tov. Generally speaking, any malacha that is asur on Shabbos is also asur on Yom Tov. Now, it happens to be that the level of the isurim are not the same. Whoops, I hit my camera. Okay, the level of the isurim are not the same. The isur malacha on Shabbos is an isur of skila. The isur malacha on Yom Tov is an isur lav. So they're not the same, but whatever malacha is asur on Shabbos is also asur on Yom Tov. Let's take a look right away in Ois Kat and Aleph in the Mishnah Berurah. Any malacha ha'asura b'Shabbos, says the Chavetz Chaim, bein she'isura min HaTorah. This is true whether it's a malacha that's asur mid da'araisa, or bein she'isura mishum shvus, or whether it's an isur d'Rabbanan. Anything that's asur on Shabbos, whether it's asur mid da'araisa or asur mid d'Rabbanan, is also asur on Yom Tov. V'chein kol davar she'asur la'asoisai ba'atzmai. Similarly, any malacha that you're not allowed to do on your own on Yom Tov, also lo'imar la'akum la'asoisai. There's also an isur of amira la'akum. You're not allowed to go ask a non-Jew to do it for you. K'may b'Shabbos, just as on Shabbos. And of course, the halachas of amira la'akum are very complicated. And we have seen that there are those places where amira la'akum is mutter, or shvus to shvus, etc. And we will discuss that in greater detail as we continue through Hilchos Yom Tov. Continues the Mechaber. So all malacha that's asur on Shabbos is asur on Yom Tov, chutz mi meleches eichel nefesh, with the first great exception being any malacha which is required for eichel nefesh, any malacha that's required for food preparation. V'chutz mehaitzah v'havara, and also with the exception of hoitzah, colloquially known as carrying, hoitzah v'havara, or making a fire. V'chein, and similarly, machshirei oichel nefesh, steps that melachos that are preparatory for oichel nefesh. So not the preparing the food itself, but steps that are required to prepare for oichel nefesh, that you were not able to do before Yom Tov. If there was a preparatory step to oichel nefesh that requires malacha, and you were unable to accomplish that before Yom Tov, then you're allowed to do it on Yom Tov. Let's take a look at the Mishnah Berurah. Ice cotton baits. The first great exception, chutz mi melachos oichel nefesh. Something that's required for oichel nefesh, something that's required for food preparation is mutter, And the Chavetz Chaim says, we know this, kediksiv bakra, as it says in the pasuk, ach asher yochel l'chol nefesh, with the exception of malacha that is required for a person to eat, hu levada yeyasa lachem. That malacha alone is permitted to be done by you. Eis cotton gimel v'chutz me'hitzah v'havara. Also, hitzah, carrying, and havara, lighting a fire, are also mutter. Uprate dinehem, the details of these laws, Yisparu l'kaman, will be explained later on. Siman Tafkuf Yud Aleph and Tafkuf Yud Ches. Eis cotton dalet, v'chein machshirei oichel nefesh, and also malacha that is required for a preparatory step for food preparation. If it's something that you could not do before Yom Tov, it's mutter on Yom Tov. Uprate din zeh, and the details of this din, ayin l'kamon siman tafkuf ches v'tafkuf tes. So we'll discuss all of these things in greater detail in coming simanim. Eis cotton hay. This refers to machshirei oichel nefesh shelo haya efsher, that you are not able to do before Yom Tov. Explains the Chavetz Chaim. What does this mean that you weren't able to do them before Yom Tov? The niskalkel b'Yom Tov. We're talking about something that happened on Yom Tov. Something got ruined on Yom Tov, and now you have to do it over again. So there's a preparatory step that requires malacha that you simply weren't able to do. It wasn't required before Yom Tov, and now it is required. Or he brings this down from Rashi in Masechtas Beitza, shaloi hispik alai hasha, or you simply didn't have the time to do it before Yom Tov. Now, the Chavetz Chaim says, umashma, the implication of the words on the Mechaber is the oichel nefesh kufei, that when it comes to something which is direct oichel nefesh, not machshirei oichel nefesh, mutter ledas haMechaber afilu be'efshel lasos mi'esmo. The Mechaber differentiates between something that you were able to do before Yom Tov and something that you were not able to do before Yom Tov. He only makes that differentiation by machshirei oichel nefesh. When are machshirei oichel nefesh mutter on Yom Tov? When you could not do it before Yom Tov. If you couldn't do it before Yom Tov, it's mutter on Yom Tov. But if you were able to do it before Yom Tov, it's also on Yom Tov. However, the Mechaber does not make that distinction when it comes to oichel nefesh itself. So apparently the Mechaber holds that oichel nefesh, even if you were able to do it before Yom Tov, no matter, you're allowed to do it on Yom Tov, even if you were able to do it before Yom Tov. And we're going to discuss this in greater detail soon. But says the Chavetz Chaim, mashma, the clear implication of the Mechaber is the oichel nefesh kufei, that by oichel nefesh itself, mutter ledas haMechaber afilu be'efshel lasos mi'esmo. Malacha required for oichel nefesh is mutter on Yom Tov, even if you were able to do that before Yom Tov. Umiu, however, bedavar shederech la'asosai b'pamachas l'yomim rabim, when it comes to something which is a malacha that you generally don't do because I need it now. For example, the Poskim speak about making pickles. We know kavush k'mevushel. So pickling something could have the same din as bishul. Bishul is a malacha. You don't wake up and decide, oh, I'm having a pastrami sandwich, I need a pickle, I'm going to make a pickle now. That's not what you do. You pickle a barrel of pickles, and you do it for yomim rabim. You do it for months and months and months at a time. So it says the Chavetz Chaim, by something like that, gam laha Mechaber aser, even the Mechaber would hold, even though eating a pickle is oichel nefesh, so making a pickle would seem to be a malacha that's necessary for oichel nefesh. However, since it's something that you generally do not do for now, even if you're making quick pickles, you don't do it for now. It's something that you generally do in advance, and you do a lot of it at one time. Gam laha mechaber aser. The mechaber would say that is aser on Yom Tov, even according to him. Even though the mechaber holds that even something that you could do before Yom Tov, if it's eichel nefesh, it's mutter to do it on Yom Tov, not something like this. Because by something like this, it clearly looks that you're not doing it just for now. If you're making pickles on Shavuos, you're not making pickles just for today. It looks like you're making pickles for the next 3 months. Why are you making pickles for the next 3 months on Yom Tov? But davar shetov me'esma v'lo yafik taimai, as long as it's something that there is no reason for Yom Tov to do it now. The pickles are just as good, they're even better, if you made them earlier. However, if you do it through a shinoi, the gra seems to imply that it's mutter. May esmail, the mechaber said, if it's something that you could not do previously, you couldn't do it yesterday, says the Chavetz Chaim as vav aval im efshar la'asoi samei esmail. However, if it's machshirei ochel nefesh that you could have done yesterday, harehu kishar malachos, then it becomes like any other malacha, v'aser min HaTorah, and there's an issa daraisa. If it's machshirei ochel nefesh that requires a malacha and you could have done it yesterday, then there's no heter. Then it becomes like any other malacha that is aser on Yom Tov min HaTorah. Now let's go to the top of Kuf Aleph Amud Beis, and we're going to do the Ramah. Says the Ramah. Let's try to make up for lost time. If we can get through this Amud, we'll be back onto the Dirshu schedule. Says the Ramah, v'yesh machmirin, there are those who rule stringently, afilu b'oichel nefesh atzmai, even by something required for oichel nefesh itself, and they're machmir, and they say that if it's something that could have been done before Yom Tov, kol she'enai meifig tam klal, if there's absolutely no difference in the taste, whether you would do it before Yom Tov or you would do it on Yom Tov, im asay me'erev Yom Tov, there's no lessening of the quality or of the taste. If you did it on Erev Yom Tov, then they're machmir, and they hold that you had to do it before Yom Tov, and if you did not do it before Yom Tov, you're not allowed to do it on Yom Tov. Miyu, however, the Ramah says, im loi asay me'erev Yom Tov, if you did not do it on Erev Yom Tov, v'yesh by tzorich Yom Tov, and it is a tzorich for Yom Tov that you should have it for your Suda, motor la'asay al yedei shinoi, you could do it with a shinoi. Let's take a look at the Mishnah Berurah over here, see what the Mishnah Berurah has to say about this Ramah. So the Ramah is telling us that even though the Mechaber says that Oichel Nefesh is mutter, Machshirei Oichel Nefesh are mutter if you couldn't do them before Yom Tov. If you were able to do them before Yom Tov, then they're aser. That's the sheet of the Mechaber. The Ramah says we have those that rule more stringently, and they say that even Oichel Nefesh, if there's a malacha for Oichel Nefesh that you could have done before Yom Tov, and by doing it before Yom Tov, it would not lessen the taste for Yom Tov at all. It would be just as good if you did it before Yom Tov. Then you got to do it before Yom Tov, and you shouldn't do it on Yom Tov. He says, if you didn't do it before Yom Tov and it's a tzarich Yom Tov, you should do it with a shinoi, but without a shinoi, you shouldn't do it. Says the Mishnah Berurah is cut and zayin. V'yesh machmirin midrabanan. This is only an issa drabanan, and the purpose of it is kedei shelo yavar alav kol hayom b'malachos. Listen, we don't want that on Yom Tov you should be busy doing malachos the whole day, even if it's a malacha that's needed for Eichel Nefesh. The truth is, we don't want you in the kitchen cooking all day on Yom Tov. That's not what Yom Tov is all about. V'yimana misimchas Yom Tov. And now you're not going to have simchas Yom Tov because you're busy in the kitchen all day. So if it's something that you could have done before Yom Tov, and it doesn't lessen the taste for Yom Tov at all, then better do it before Yom Tov. This is only true kol she'enei meifig. This is only true if it's not going to cost Yom Tov, if the taste is not going to be impinged by the fact that you did it before Yom Tov. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Delisha, when it comes to kneading dough, va'afia, or baking challah, ushchita, or shechting an animal, ubishul, or cooking, all of those malachos, imasan be'erev Yom Tov, if you do them before Yom Tov, yesh behem chisaron tam. Those do make a difference. There is a lessening of the taste if you do these things before Yom Tov or you do them on Yom Tov. Kulei alma maida. Everybody agrees that a nice fresh challah is better than a day-old challah. Everybody agrees that when the roast comes right out of the oven, if I make a prime rib for Yom Tov, it's always, I never want to prepare that prime rib before Yom Tov, because there's no such, you can't compare a prime rib that you slow roast in the oven and you take it out of the oven and you let it rest for 10, 15 minutes and you slice it, you eat it. You cannot compare that to a prime rib. And Steve Shlomo Zalman, I hope you're listening. You can't compare that to a prime rib that you make even on Erev Yom Tov and then cool it down, refrigerate it, and rewarm it. Einay doima. So there's a chasar and tam. Shein lechem shenilo shvenefa hayoim. You can't compare challah that was kneaded and baked today to lechem shenilo shvenefa meyasmel, to challah that was kneaded and baked yesterday. There's a reason why bakeries give you a discount on day-old bread. V'loy tavshel shenispashel hayoim. Nor can you compare a cooked dish that was cooked today, kitavshel shenispashel meyasmel. Go ahead and make chremslach or latkes as a side dish for Yom Tov. You're going to make them the day before, refrigerate them, and then put them in a frying pan to reheat them. They'll be tasty, but you can't compare that to fresh chremslach. Nor can you compare meat that was geschachted today to meat that was shechted yesterday, especially if you don't have refrigeration. And therefore, says the Chavetz Chaim, you do not have to take away from this Ramah. Don't think from this Ramah that, the Ramah is telling me that if I could get done all my cooking before Yom Tov, I should do all my cooking before Yom Tov and I shouldn't cook on Yom Tov. No, because there is a chasar in tam. Fresh food is better than day-old food. Aval, however, davar she'ein boi kilkal tam v'hefsid im nasa mi'esma. But if there's a malacha where there is absolutely no drawback to doing it before Yom Tov, lama le'lasai some Yom Tov. So then, indeed, why should you do it on Yom Tov? The kasva achrayim, the achrayim right, the naktina lamaisa kisfarazu. That lamaisa we do paskin this way. If there's a malacha, even if it's a malacha that's required for eichel nefesh, that makes absolutely no difference if you do it before Yom Tov or after Yom Tov. Better do it before Yom Tov. The kasvuaid and the achrayim also right. The lefidei azu that according to this opinion, asar lalosh b'yom tov remzelin shekarin lakshin. You can't make a lakshin. Not sure what this means. He says to need lakshin. She'afshar hanilusha mibayid yom tov v'miyaser. It could be that the lakshin that you need before Yom Tov is even better than the ones that you need on Yom Tov. V'chein also lavashel peres yeveshim b'Yom Tov. He says you can't make a compote. You can't cook dried fruits. So you want to cook dried apricots, dried apples, dried prunes, dried pears. If you want to make a compote, he says not on Yom Tov. Shu yadu hashamu v'shalom erev Yom Tov tovim en yosel achila achakach b'Yom Tov. He says everybody knows that is much better if you cook it before Yom Tov than if you cook it on Yom Tov. So you should cook it before Yom Tov. However, miu nevertheless, if you are not able to do it before Yom Tov, and literally this means if you didn't have time. Certainly if you simply didn't have the fruits before Yom Tov, certainly you are allowed to cook it on Yom Tov. And so too, this when he talks about needing this lakshin, also if you weren't able to do it before Yom Tov, you could do it on Yom Tov. Now there's an interesting Dirshu footnote here, footnote number 7. He talks about refrigeration. He says, even though nowadays we have refrigerators and freezers, so you might think, well, wait a second. Now maybe some of the melachos that the Chavetz Chaim is talking about, where he says that you could do them on Yom Tov, like the cooking, because it tastes better if you do it on Yom Tov. Yeah, but we have refrigerators and freezers. We could preserve everything without a problem. So maybe nowadays, maybe you should do it all before Yom Tov. Rav Nissen Karela says 100% l'chatchila you're allowed to cook on Yom Tov. Kevin chetami shel tavshel sheitziyu mimekar v'chimamuhu eina meshubach ketami shel tavshel she'espashel b'yisayim, because you can't compare the taste of a cooked dish that you cooked and put in the fridge and rewarmed to one that was fresh. V'das hagayin Rabbi Yosef Shalom Yashiv shegam im taimei eina shayna klal. Rabbi Yashiv Zatzal takes it even further. He says even if you mamish can't tell the difference in taste between what you cooked before Yom Tov, refrigerated and rewarmed, and what you cooked on Yom Tov, still. Yom Tov, you're allowed to cook on Yom Tov. Since the teva of cooking, the nature of cooking is that a fresh dish is better. Even though it might be true, you might be able to package it up very well and refrigerate it very well and take it out and rewarm it very well, and it might taste just as good. But that's not the nature of cooking. That's a kunst that you have to be able to preserve the taste. But the nature of cooking is that a freshly cooked dish is better. There's a loy plug, and you're allowed to cook on Yom Tov b'chol inyan. Ice cut and test. The Ramah said, when is it that you should do it before Yom Tov and not do it on Yom Tov? Only if it's she'ena meifig tam klal, where it doesn't take away from the taste at all. Says the Mishnah Berurah is cut and test. Mashma, the implication is, the meifig tam, if it does detract from the taste, afilu b'miktsas, even in a minute amount, shari l'chulei alma, then it's mutter l'chulei alma to cook it on Yom Tov. The Maharil says you're not allowed to grind almonds on Yom Tov, and chalav, to extract the almond milk from them, since this could have been done the day before. Even though it detracts from the taste slightly. Because for Achrayim and the Achrayim write, that there's a reason why we're more machmir on doing this, on grinding the almonds, than we are in other things. The dami ktsas l'schitas peros, because grinding almonds to extract the almond milk is similar to squeezing out the juice from fruits. The aser, and we're going to see that schita is aser on Yom Tov. However, if you do it with a shinoi, if you do it somehow in a different way, then the Chavetz Chaim says you could be matir. You're allowed to do this through a shinoi. If you didn't do your preparations before Yom Tov, if it's the type of thing that you could have done the previous day with no detraction of the taste, and you didn't, and now you want to do it on Yom Tov, so the Ramah said if there's a tzarech Yom Tov, you can do it with a shinoi. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Mutar la'asay sa'yedei shinoi, v'em lo yasay me'erev Yom Tov v'mnei eza oinus, mutar afilu b'li shinoi. If the reason you didn't do it before Yom Tov was because of an oinus, now you could do it on Yom Tov even without a shinoi. The concept of Magen Avram, ta'afilu l'chatchila mutar lahamtin la'asay sa'yedei shinoi. If you want to do it with a shinoi, then even l'chatchila you could wait till Yom Tov. The Sefer Big the Yesha, Mefakfik al Zeh, Sefer Big the Yesha takes issue with that. But certainly, if you didn't have time to do it before Yom Tov, you could certainly be samech on this shita of the Magen Avram, and you could do it on Yom Tov with a shinoi. We're going to stop over here. We're basically back onto the Dirshu schedule. I think the Dirshu schedule officially runs through Sif Beis, but Sif Beis is quite short, so I'm not so worried about it. Thank you so much for joining me for Torah learning. The Rebbeinu Shalom should send Yeshua's Refuas and Parnasa to all those in need. The Rebbeinu Shalom should protect Gans Klal Yisrael, and the schus of limud HaTorah should be making on everyone. The Rebbeinu Shalom should bring the Bias Tzedek and Hera v'Yameinu. Be well.